Bienvenidos, everyone, and happy weekend to all the LCS gamers and other League of Legends esports fans as we get ready for the North American Challengers Week, Week 2, baby. My name is Mark Rafa Alexander Arambide. I am joined by my compadre and apartment mate, Joshua Howard. You know what? I just butchered that intro. You know what? I'm just so excited because it's not just us two today, Josh. We have a very special guest as well.
Yeah, we're going to bring in lover.
My... Only for me. It's my other half of the Hispanic Panic, Eric Desirux Beltran, who's going to be taking over with the hosting role today. So thank you so much for joining us, brother.
You're right. Only for you, Rafa. Only for you. Especially with what we just had happen last week. Rafa, congratulations, your first guest on the LCS. How was it, man?
It was terrifying up until I finally started to get into the game and cast, you know?
You even said poggers.
Yeah, I did say poggers on cast. I even did a little sheesh, and you know what? That was probably the most controversial thing I did on the cast because people either loved it and thought it was funny, or people hated it and called it cringe. And you know what? I'm here for either answer because that's what I love doing. But Desirux, you are the host, so I'm gonna, give you control.
All right. If any of you happen to be new to the North American Challengers League, hello and welcome. This is week number 2. And you know what? We got a little bit of a tour we need to do because some of our old content is now back onto the table. Let's bring up the North American Talent Update.
Hello and welcome back to another year of the NA Talent Update. Honestly, I don't know how this got approved again.
Please, I'm begging of you.
But I sure as hell am excited to be back and bringing you some more NACL action in this revamped semi-pro system we have for 2023. With that said, I'm going to get started by throwing it to a couple of our friendly Canadians from above.
Thanks, Cubby. We're sorry to bring this up, but we had to say something. This is the North American Challengers League, and we feel like our players from the Great White North aren't getting the respect they deserve.
So we're just going to take a minute to talk about some of the great Canadian talent that we've got up here.
And first up, we got Spyrax here in the mid lane, and look at this boy go. Ooh, sorry, Doxa. At least he had the decency to go and die with him, though.
And now our next player, Tomio. If the Leafs were to pick him up, well, they might just have a shot to come playoffs time. Watch him go. First kill, bam, but then, he's going to go back for seconds, eh?
You love to see it. And sorry to juke you on this next play. We know Moose Hater's American, but he put the moose in Moose Hater. Up here in Canada, we know how dangerous Moose can be, but it seems like y'all didn't get the memo down there.
For future reference, when you see an angry Moose approach you, back away slowly, do not engage, and if they charge, run away, or else something like this is gonna happen. And now, for our last clip, Diamond does a good job here, protecting his team as best as he can, but deep down, look at this.
Yeah, Diamond, that's not very nice. Supports don't need gold, but I'm sure he apologized in the end, and he still played well.
Well, as if the super heavyweight SmackDowns weren't enough wrestling references, we've got Kangas and Desirux coming right at you with the Slam of the Week.
This time on Slam of the Week, Team Liquid had an inconsistent day 1 of Challengers League, but they turned it around in day 2 with their Slam against Golden Guardian. With the powerhouse performance, Bradley slammed the top lane versus Concept with combined KDA of 10-1-9 across both games and a banter kill to end the series. This was an easy decision for our Slam of the Week.
Well, he might be an LCS big shot now, but Rafa still has some time to help us out with the Raw Pog Moment of the Week, which is brought to you by Saranac and CLG Faith's Backdoor.
Line, but you can tell that CLG Faith are ready.
Oh, here comes the TP.
Saranac's going, but that's going to be too late for anyone to stop them. They got the kill and the pluck. CLG, they've got to fight. They got to survive as Lorraine Pell comes in.
Here we go.
But Saranac, he's looking for it.
He got canceled.
No, Lunacia's here. They canceled the back. And one more auto. He needs it. Come on. There it is.
Woo, poggers.
Big shout out to everyone who opted out for this week's NA Talent Update. It's good to be back. We'll see you next week, and may your week be filled with positive gaming experiences.
Poggers. Never will that leave our broadcast. Rafa, I don't care if you go full-time in the LCS. We need to keep the Rafa Pog.
I will do everything in my power to allow that, whatever you want to call
Poggers.
it, just that Pog emote to be forever ingrained
See
into
if
the
you can get a
broadcast.
fish on the broadcast with you too.
I will do my best. Do you want to get a fish sometime this week, Josh?
Yeah, we'll see if we can cook it.
Okay. No, don't cook it! No!
Let him cook.
No, none of that. We take care of our animals. And speaking of animals, we got a little bit of a safari we got to go on with one of our friends. Before we pass it over, can we get our best yeehaw from you two?
Yeehaw!
Ooh, Joshi, work on it. Rafa, you like a barrel of fine whiskey. Let's take you over to Mazel with On the Range.
Welcome to another year of On the Range. Now, we've been busy this offseason acquiring some new territory. We got some new, some old, some rough and rowdy. Let's go and check them out, shall we? Now, one of the new bloods we got is Masu. He's in a bit of a migratory pattern while he flies to LA, but that ain't gonna stop him. No way.
The wild turtle getting lower and lower. Is it enough? No!
Oh, not enough!
And that was on 120 ping. Now, another youngin' we have on the range is APA. And in instances like these, it's important to plan ahead. Luckily for Appa, he always does. Yep.
Concept following up
that's
APA,
big.
buying the space. Concept taking a lot of damage right now. Throws out the all-in. First to fall.
Now that we've gotten some of our youngins nice and rassled, let's go see how our more mature members are doing. Caution now, we're going to be walking into the top lane kingdom.
Now next up we got good old Bradley. He's the last remaining member of his prize pack. But don't let his early antics fool you now, or he'll serve you up some of that humble pie.
Young, even with Principal on top of him, I think Bradley's got it. That's another one. He's got Principal too. Pentakill to Bradley.
Now as we come around the bend here, make sure you got your flex protection on, or Hanser will get you.
Whoa, watch out now. Whoa, Nelly. Is that a real weapon? Arms are flying everywhere.
Now this next part of the range is a little bit scarier. We're gonna go check in on our crocodilian friend from down under, Surdy. He likes to hang out with the creepy crawlies of the world, but you know, if he gets you in his sights, boy, he'll get you. Woo! It looks like I got my work cut out for me wrestling all these new critters this year. But as always, thanks for tuning in to an episode of On the Range, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah! Woo! We had to. God,
I don't know if we could have done a countdown. I think they probably would have heard it.
That image of Hanser's arms flexing and flying, that's gonna haunt my nightmares, man.
just
Be flying around all over.
bunch of flexing arms going all around. Just shout outs to Kangas, who has been leveling up the video editing content. Like, he started out as like
Leveling up.
What do you mean level? Yeah, leveling up.
Leveling up the level of curse that he's doing in some of these pieces, man.
It's brilliant.
It's brilliant, but I gotta agree with you. He's been doing fantastic with a lot of this editing, taking on a lot of our projects. Shout out to Kangas, of course. Let's take a look at the standings and how things have been looking after our first week of play. One thing that stands out is no one went winless in week number 1. Everyone able to get a dub.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, just looking at the top of the standings, we have two teams that we were all kind of expecting to be there, right? With Cloud9 Challengers and CLG Challengers, but Wildcard and Fear also surprising a lot of people with 4 wins apiece. Wildcard going 4-0 and Fear 4-2, and a couple of our provisional teams that I don't think a lot of people were expecting to have such a strong start.
Yeah, they've been doing fantastic. Even our Challengers team's doing well. CLG won out the Civil War with Faith. Cloud9, we saw the reign of M&S begin, and just how terrifying of a North American debut he had.
Yeah, this guy is crazy cracked. I think he's leading the league right now in terms of solo kills across the board. Last time we checked, 9 to his name. I think the next highest is
6.
Yeah. I mean, dude, M&S is crushing it in his debut.
Let's see the matchups that we will have on the day here on the broadcast for Stream A. Is that what I want to call it right now? That's what we'll call it for the time being. Challengers League stream. Thank you, Josh. First match that we'll see will be Team Liquid Challengers versus Immortals Challengers, excuse me. Next one to follow through, 100 Thieves taking on AOE Gold. And our last match of the day, TSM Challengers versus Wildcard Challengers. Personally, that last one I'm the most excited about.
Oh, yeah? I'm kind of expecting our first one to be the slam of the week, potentially, right? Team Liquid Challengers, they had a bit of a rough start, but they're going into Immortals, who have had a rougher start. I remember the first thing that we saw coming out of their first series was actually Chad saying, that was the worst. I will play the entire season. So far, he's been living up to it.
All right. You know what? You brought him up. Let's pull up the rosters for Immortals right now, because there's something big showing up right now. That's going to be Bolulu will be into the mid lane, the TCL mid laner. Are we feeling excited? I know I am.
Yeah, and for Immortals, not only Bolulu, but also their LCS starting support, Fleshy, both came from the same team, and Nasser Esports over in the Turkish League, as you already mentioned. He's finally here. Visa is approved. He's ready, locked in, and ready to go.
And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch how he plays on the Rift, but I'm also excited to see how Wixie is going to play on the Rift. This was a roster that kind of felt like they wanted to develop him a bit more. I mean, it wasn't the best start with that 2-0 against Wildcard, but they still were able to get a win against the subless 100 Thieves Challengers.
Yeah, Wixie has been a player that we were always looking for. Justice for Wixie, right? When he was dropped from 100 Thieves Academy last year, everyone was asking why. He was playing quite well, and it feels like the way that he was able to play in the lower league, in the semi-pro, it was definitely an opportunity for him to kind of showcase that he was still deserving of a spot. And now that he's back on a Challengers team, we're going to continue to see more opportunities for him to shine, because even in the games that they've been losing, IMT have been getting good leads for Wixie.
Look at this one right here, Rafa. This one is an unofficial pentakill that Wixie got in the very first game.
They did lose that one.
Yeah.
Josh, stop. Let Rafa talk.
I still think about the Cubby tweet about quote tweeting Immortals accounts, like, not the start that we wanted. It's like, I don't know, it was the early start you wanted, just didn't close it out.
All right, next roster coming in. I want you to go ahead and give me an introduction to this roster, because no one knows Tender Loving Care more so than Rafa.
Oh, yes. I did an impromptu theme song for them, provided lyrics from Joshi and Kangas in the spur of 4 or 5 minutes, and low-key, kind of a banger. Although I cannot release it on Spotify. But for Team Liquid Honda Challengers or Tender Loving Care, APA, Mirror, both of these guys have been absolutely tearing it up as a jungle mid duo in their debut week.
Yeah. I was excited to see APA because we saw some of that signature cast play come out in the very first week, right? I'm just wondering, when are we going to get the Aurelion Soul? That's all I want to see right now. I'm a fanboy for that one.
Wait for the rework to come out, man. I keep pinging him. He's like, hey, are you gonna get some games in? It's like, I have to wait for it to come out first, you know?
Yeah.
So once
he keeps saying, I don't play Aurelion Soul, but, you know, there's a rework coming out soon, and we will see what the numbers are like as they'll have an opportunity. But the big player we already got to look at, Bradley. A lot of us have him pegged as the best returning player from Academy 2022 coming into Challengers 2023. He opens up with a pentakill, and this guy is just really good with a lot of the other top competition no longer in the league in the form of tenacity. He's been able to find a ton of solo kills, and, you know, in his own words, just being able to say, yeah, we are able to consistently be relevant at every stage of the game, and that is going to be the goal for every single top lane.
And good thing to bring that up, Josh, because you had an interview with Bradley right after that first game about the expectations and goals that Bradley's going to have on the season. So let's pull that up. Let's pull that up right now.
What expectations do you have for yourself, and what goals do you have for yourself throughout this year?
As far as expectations go, games like this, I think the series.
Let's go. More pentakills.
I think the series. Well, regardless of the pentakill, right? I think the series that I played today was a very stable game. It was very clean. I was able to be relevant at all points of the game, which is something that every top laner pretty much strives for. And in the games today, I think I did that very well. So, you know, going forward, as long as I'm stable and I'm always going to be a threat to the enemy team, that's kind of the expectation I have. And then, of course, that could come with a few pentakills if it happens. But yeah.
If it happens. Some here and there, right?
Yeah, the way that Bradley was able to pilot a lot of these carry champions, right? We got to see his Gangplank as well, one of the champions that he went basically undefeated on in summer 2022. We'll continue to see a lot of exciting stuff from this guy. And going into ADD, the Teemo player from Worlds, I mean, ADD has not been performing quite as well as a lot of people were hoping to when he actually came to the North American scene, especially with the expectations from most teams that any players that you're importing should be looking to be a top 5 LCS player within the coming year. ADD still has room to grow into that.
I just want to point out, not just the Teemo player from Worlds, but also the Garen player from last week, one of 2 of them. Got to keep that up there, Josh. Got to keep that up there. Well, that is going to do it for our little pregame right here. I'm going to go ahead and head out and try and write some tunes to keep up with Rafa. I'll leave the draft and the game to you guys, so have a good one.
Bye, Eric. I didn't realize we were pre-gaming.
Yeah, well, maybe later. Maybe later, you know. We'll have it.
That's not quite strong enough. But going into the game already, we do have Team Liquid Challengers versus IMT Challengers. And Team Liquid Challengers, a team that is near and dear to my heart, one of the early expected teams to do very, very well throughout the course of this entire season. And they have the two of the strongest players in the entire league in Bradley and Mir that are already coming through. But I think it's going to be very interesting to see how they deal with the adaptation of Bolulu coming in, because Bolulu, as somebody, if you're not quite as familiar, coming over from the Turkish League where they have dual Swedish-Turkish citizenship, plays a ton of artillery majors. AP Kog'Maw, Ziggs, Xerath, Azir, Corki, all of these have been major champions for Bolulu historically, and it kind of plays into a lot of things that APA likes to play. Well, yes, APA does have the Ziggs themselves. A lot of the meta champions right now are kind of countered by these artillery mages because they can't interact with them.
Yeah, depending on how the series drafts plays out, we just might have an arms race in the mid lane. If APA wants to rush for the Ziggs first, and then Bolulu has a specific counter pick, as he would be one of the few players in our league that would know how to counter it specifically, long range versus long range. And we know that when you want to have long range as your main backline, you need long range engage or disengage to deal with it.
Yeah, and no surprises, we're going to see a lot of very similar drafts throughout the course of these next couple of weeks until we start playing on 13.2. And so, you know, the Maokai coming through, very strong for Mira last week, Wixie back on the Varus. As we kind of see a lot of these normal champions come through, we'll kind of check back in, but for now, I kind of want to set some expectations, right? Because this is also a team for Arrow that they were playing for last year, right? They were playing alongside Chad for basically the entirety of 2022, and it's definitely one of the players that you do have to really pay attention to where they're likely to go, because Arrow and Chad were both players that loved playing as far forward as they could, and it led to both of them having some really big moments, and it also led to some of the times that they would get caught out too much.
This reminds me of the clip where you very passionately
it was the loudest
exclaimed,
I'd ever been.
Yeah, it was the loudest I'd ever heard Josh, and I've been in tilting games with Josh where he's been very upset. I don't think I've ever heard Josh been that upset about a play before. So you know, I was concerned for my own safety as well.
Yeah.
I was like, Josh, you're going to be okay, right?
But I mean, because you have Chad on the team, right, there's a lot of the same strengths and weaknesses coming into Immortals Challengers. And one, you have explosive early games. It's not a question of when it's not a question of when you're going to gank, it's more a question of where. Chad will gank every single time, usually before 3 minutes. And I saw a meme last night of how you just go, you do 3 camps, then you go 3v3 bottom lane. That plays directly into Chad's hands. That's what he's been doing for a long time. And now that he's on the Sejuani, he actually has some opportunities to try and invade up against Mir, just because Sejuani's like kind of a crazy duelist in the jungle.
You wouldn't suspect it, right? Considering that she is mainly engaged in frontline and as a tank, but especially into some melee champions early on, you have such powerful skirmishing potentials, mainly in the 2v2, right? And now you have Gangplank into this Jax. It's something that we saw as a very viable counter pick for, I think it was the FlyQuest Team Liquid game, where Impact had the range advantage onto Summit. Jax got a solo kill in him early on as well. So we're heading into the second round of the draft phase right now. Team Liquid already have somewhat of their core in their potentially a bot lane. I don't think Kim Down would be a Jhin support player, but you know, if Karia's playing it, I guess anyone could be inspired to play it.
Yeah, I mean, Karia played Kalista support last night, right? We do have to always do the check that Chroniker gave us. Are you Karia? No, don't play this champion, okay? Moving on. Anyway, we've been seeing right now quite a bit of a different style coming out from the IMT Challengers roster than what we were used to in 2022, because now they're playing with a ton of range, right? You have the Varus Ashe bottom lane, which is very difficult for a lot of bottom lanes to interact with in the first place. And okay, I got baited a little bit. But you also have the Gangplank, right? You have a ton of range to actually play up against these guys, which is going to be a little bit difficult looking at the Team Liquid Challenger side of it, because they don't have really easy ways to get fights started. Yeah, you got the Maokai ultimate, which will create a lot of range, but the Blitzcrank coming out for Kim Down, I actually love that. This is the perfect champion to deal with people who are just going to line up and siege against you. You just pull one of them out of range, and now nobody can follow up because you're taking them so far.
You just got to be careful that the one target you pull is not the Sejuani, because that will just give Chad the window that he wants. But if he's isolated, of course, then, you know, maybe Team Liquid Challengers can find something. And oh, this is a special from APA. We've been seeing Talia pop up for a couple other mid laners, both in Challengers League and LCS. But if you know APA as long as we have, you know that he was a very proclaimed 3-trick on Aurelion Sol, Talia, and even the Kled mid lane.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't see as much of the Kled coming out last time, but APA is definitely a legacy Talia player. And coming in here, I'm a little curious to see what Balulu will play. It is the classic Zoe. The Zoe coming out from Balulu is one of the most comfortable champions we've ever seen them on. So this is going to be a real test for young Ian APA Stearns. We'll see if they can actually deal with Balulu, somebody who very nearly had an opportunity to play on the world stage, getting semifinals against, I believe, a Game 5 against the team that ended up representing Turkey. And so Balulu will have a lot of opportunity to try and play this lane state for advantage, just because you don't dash as Zoe. You just go down and you go up, and there's no dash in between. You don't really have to deal with the unraveled earth.
And this is a mark that Immortals across as an entire organization, both in LCS and even the Challengers team, have been doing. With their debut games of some of their newer players in the roster, they want to give them the agency to pick champions that they feel comfortable on. And they're trying a lot of things earlier on in the season because, I mean, you have the freedom to. This is just spring split. You have plenty of time to ramp up. And of course, this being Challengers League, the goal shouldn't necessarily be to win, but to get better and to develop and own your skills.
Oh, for sure. And looking at the rosters across, or just the compositions, I really like what IMT Challengers have put together. The Engage coming out from Team Liquid is not particularly strong, so it's going to be a lot of pressure on two things. One, Bradley needs to get a big advantage in the top lane in order to create significant, incredible split push threats. And also, Kim Down, the young rookie coming out from UCI, is going to have a lot of weight on his shoulders because he's their primary way to actually get things started. Regardless of whether you get to an objective first or second, the poke is going to be so powerful from IMT that they might just be able to push TL off.
I actually wanted to bring up your knowledge and your rapport with Kim Down.
Yeah.
Is this Blitzcrank a character that he is mostly well known for? Because I thought...
really.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, historically...
Does that bother you? Does that shock you?
No, I mean, it is kind of in like the same general area of things that Kim Down has been known to play, right? They played a ton of Nautilus, a ton of Leona in particular while they were on UCI, but I mean, come on, guys. We got to get a couple more chatters. Like, IMT is not 0% to win this game, for sure. And also, the other big thing, make sure you use the hashtag NACL on Twitter. If you do it right and you tweet something funny, you'll have an opportunity to appear on the broadcast.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily have to be funny if you want to do something insightful. Woo! Immortals Challengers fans coming in.
There you go. That's what we like to see.
Now, when you were mentioning during the draft phase how a lot of people were already expecting Team Liquid Challengers to kind of be a favorite for the league, I do want to curb that expectation and remind people that this was an org that fostered a Challengers team that won back-to-back Proving Ground splits last year off of a 2-year plan. And now most of the roster has been either promoted or not returning to the same team.
Oh,
he's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, Kim Down? Okay.
All right.
There's a little trading back and forth. So the fact that Team Liquid Challengers have rebuilt this roster only with Bradley returning means there are expectations, but there's also some understanding like, hey, this team might not reach the same heights as the Proving Grounds back-to-back champions, but if they do, it's a hallmark not only for the org, but also for Coach Spawn being able to field another team filled with, players of all different experience ranges.
Yeah, I mean, he even said, like, winning back-to-back championships with the previous roster is not that difficult, but look at this. Mir is ganking before Chad. He's already here, and these guys are level 1. Watch for Kim down to try and get something started.
We called it. Full clear on the bot side. 3 camps into gank, but Wixie and Joey know something's up. Kim down goes for the flash. Joey flashes in respect. Someone to trade down.
Interesting. A lot of time being spent by Mir down here in the bottom side, clearing out all 3 camps. That means Chad, somebody that we were saying was expected to go for these early ganks, is actually going to be really far ahead in terms of his tempo on the map. And Mir actually looping back around. Everybody would expect him to back and potentially go top side. He's going for a lane gank.
Oh, baby. And then Kim down knows that Joey has no flash this time. Should be easier to be able to walk up and look for a play, or even Mir if he wants to get in range and flash. But Chad also knows that Mir might be looking for another gank. Depends on who shows first. Remember, Kim down doesn't have flash equal to Joey. They get the knock up into the Deadly Flourish. Mir expends all his resources to burn him down for first blood, and it goes directly over to Arrow. Might be a trade. But Kim down saves himself in the bush. Arrow flashing forward. It's a double kill for Team Liquid Challengers.
An insane read coming up from Mir. He knows that he would spend so much time going towards the top side, and he knows that Chad is going to have to come towards the bottom side in order to go for the gank. Finds it there, gets the 2 kills for his team, and instantly pays off all the investment that they were looking for before. This is one of the things that we were expecting from the most experienced jungler coming into the entire league.
Absolutely huge for them to get this lead as well, because we know that when you have a double range bot lane, you will have the push advantage, and then Blitzcrank, you only really get the cash in that major surprise factor when you land the hook. The fact that they set up that Flash Summoner spell trade into the return gank kill means that Arrow is now set up for success.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it again. This is the big risk from Joey, having expended the flash earlier. Easy target for them to focus down. They commit both the barrier and heal to try and keep them alive, but after that, I mean, there's just not a whole lot of damage left. You see that Wixie's already used up all the mana, and I love the fact that Arrow's like, yeah, we don't care about Wixie here. We're going to flash forward, make sure we flash in a direction that's not putting us under tower, and getting the last shot.
Arrow was looking for that pork belly, He needed the boar back on his side. Cook and grill it up. A little bit of trading and skirmishing in the river. Oh, Kim down could look for Joey. He knows. Hook, left, right, line, and sinker, baby. Man, Kim down is on fire with these hooks.
Yeah, some of the things that we've been so impressed about with Team Liquid Challengers so far is the way that both Kim Down and APA have been playing with Mir so far, and the fact that they constantly move together, knowing that Joey walks into the mid lane, knowing he has no flash. It's a very easy setup, and you see that Mir hasn't even finished clearing his own jungle at this point. He's continued to play the Maokai incredibly aggressively, and I said early on that this might be the slam of the week, but it's not. I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be like this.
Wait, Josh, before you go, we need to give you another repetition. Try that again. Get really, there you go. You gotta really gotta get it in the gravel. Gotta get it. The slam of the week. Yeah. Shout out to Desirux. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just gonna ignore it and move on, but
I wanted you to revel in the moment.
Yeah. All right. We're looking at this. So we've already accomplished step 1 of the Team Liquid Challengers game plan, right? And, oop, he's not in that bush. Good to know. They got the bottom lane really far ahead. Kim Down and Mir have teamed up in order to give Arrow a large advantage. The other big thing that we needed to say was that Bradley needed to find a big lead in top lane, and so far, he's also doing that. He uses teleport in order to get the call. Now he's up about a wave and a half effectively, and by the time he actually gets back, he's going to start coming online, putting a lot of hurt onto ADD. Bang.
Thinking about what... Oh, yeah, good old bang. Next set piece for contention for both of these teams is this Ocean Dragon coming up. Right now, Team Liquid have a very much obvious advantage thanks to the double kills and early gold funneled into Arrow. Normally, we see when teams want to go for an early Dragon play, it's to give themselves and buy themselves more time as they scale into the late game. But I would reckon that since you have something like Talia and Jhin, you don't really necessarily have strong, consistent backline damage. So you really want to hit hard and heavy when the mid game comes around.
Yeah, and now we see Bululu and Chad moving together. This is something that we do have to keep in mind, is the fact that Bululu, somebody that we were expecting to be a strong mid lane contender right off the bat, is in a good matchup on one of the most comfortable champions and is taking one of the rookies and putting them in a bit of an uncomfortable position even after APA got that first kill onto Joy before. I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't try and start it, but now that we look towards the bottom lane, see that there's no prio, they know that Wixie and Joey cannot help them out. Instead, it does mean that Chad is going to go back into his own jungle. And so, this is a bit of a dangerous spot, right? We were looking at Immortals Challengers as a team that really needed to find some early leads. They got a legendary Wixie on the Zeri before, and we're having trouble actually playing out some of the mid games. Now they don't have step 1 completed, Mark, and I worry that that's going to be very, very difficult for them to kind of come back from. And I feel like Bululu has kind of become the wild card, and they need to play that out.
Well, there's nothing like a wild card than a Sleepy Trouble Bubble coming through long range, fog of war, and just getting one of your big carries blown up in the blink of an eye. Immortals Challengers, kind of in a, not necessarily rough spot, but down 2,000 gold. They can kind of hold back the push advantage right now, but it's not something that they can just depend on forever, because we know that Team Liquid Challengers, even with a year prior roster, knows that they will push the tempo just like this. Kim Down wants to pay it back. Oh, he was looking for something cheeky, but ADD throws out the surprised face of Teemo. A little bit of BM on his side, but at least the pressure allows Team Liquid to still go for this Rift Herald.
Yeah, and you still got Hex Flasher. It's not a crazy expenditure from Kim Down, but good dodge comes out from ADD, means that they only get the Rift Herald instead of the life as well. And so far, I mean, one of the things that we are going to look at a little bit later is, we've already looked at it, right? You have Wixie's ultimate with the Chains of Corruption. You have the Enchanted Crystal Arrow as ADD starts to run down Bradley. Okay, he's fine. Oh, but you have the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, you have Chain of Corruption, you have the Frozen Tomb, and then APA getting caught.
Oh, nice follow-up flash from Chad. APA with the cleanse. It's not going to be enough. Bululu picks him up, and now the mid laner from the Turkish League is on the board.
All right, there you go. Bululu already up 20 CS, gets APA's flash. The cleanse is gone as well. Suddenly, APA looking much less comfortable in this lane. He hasn't gotten a ton of help, but still getting the first kill onto Joy would hopefully allow him to have a lot more presence here. And we're seeing that Bululu is just that strong. I mean, the Turkish mid laner coming right over to North America and picking up right where he left off.
Going to be curious to see if Immortals Challengers can now level this advantage further to combat some of that snowball that has already started for the bottom lane of Team Liquid Challengers. Mir already moving into position. They took the Rift Herald.
Oh, hello, that's us.
Hello, we're back. We're not back. It's replay time.
And there you go. APA just kind of a little too far forward, and Chad, very straightforward kill. You get so much layered crowd control that APA doesn't have a whole lot they can do. And Bululu, I mean, has to blow 2 flashes in order to make that play work, but that's not the end of it all. We end up going back, and we see that Team Liquid are going to be starting up the Dragon here in just a moment. They will pick up the Ocean Dragon. This is not the most valuable dragon in the world, especially because the laning phase is well near and done, but you know, a dragon does get you a little bit closer towards actually playing for the soul later on.
Hell yeah, and look at that, Immortal social media shouting out their mid laner, making their debut on the Challengers roster, and you know, with 1 kill to boot, and a pretty decent CS lead as well in that mid lane matchup. We're going to be looking to Bululu to see if he can be the one that kind of staves off that advantage that Team Liquid have going into the mid game.
Yeah. It is going to be a big player for them, right? I mean, they have enough tools to kind of like alpha strike one single player. You know, you can just OTK them with just hitting 1 spell. You hit another spell, and then one player will just disappear pretty quickly. And so we're going to be looking at Team Liquid to try and balloon a lot of the leads that they've actually built up in the bottom lane and the top lane, but Mirror's kind of slowed down in some of the aggression they've actually gone for, and has also built up a CS lead up against Chad as well. So it really does feel like it's going to be Bululu versus Immortals, and the arrow goes wide.
One thing that Immortals Challengers will always be able to depend on.
Is Kim down?
Chad doesn't have flash, but this is a tankier one. Wixie flashing over aggressively, but has confidence that Kim Down has no way out because he had already burned the flash a couple minutes before on that top side. And now Immortals Challengers pick themselves up another kill for themselves. An arrow. This could could be tricky. There's no long-range engage spells from the side of Immortals. They're just using it onto APA instead. Chad already unleashing the Glacial Prison. Good seismic shove from APA, but Balulu is still there with the damage to finish him off.
And there you go. Chad coming alive. Wixie coming alive is the curtain call. Okay, not going to find anything as Wixie will get the back off, but look at this. Immortals suddenly have a lead in a situation where the early game was disastrous. Their ability to pick off one target where almost everybody on the team has some hard crowd control will actually get them a ton of gold back. But I have a couple of small worries coming up for the next Dragon fight, Mark. We committed a lot of tools there, and crucially now, Wixie, who has been one of the big players for Immortals historically, or not for Immortals, but just one of the strong AD carries, now has no flash. And that gives a lot of tools over for Team Liquid to pick up one of the most consistent sources of damage in IMT right off the bat. So it makes them extra reliant on getting poked down before the fight starts.
Going to be down to Kim Down and Mir to see if they can find the pick on to Wixie from a decent range away. And Arrow will be able to always follow up on it. And as we get back into this replay, you know, one thing that they always have, Josh, even if the snowball isn't necessarily on their side, is the amount of pick tools that they have on Immortal Challengers.
Yeah. We saw that coming into full force right there, having more friends, having more pick tools, and then here, APA, I mean, he knows a lot of people are over here. Maybe didn't expect Chad to be as close as they were. And gets, you know, reasonably close to actually trading it out, but not going to be picking it up there either, as Balulu now 2-0, 100% KP thus far alongside Chad. And see if it's strong enough. Look how much vision IMT has actually set up in the bottom side of the river, right? 4 wards, plus a control ward also in the Pixel Brush, makes it very, very difficult for Team Liquid to kind of walk in. They're very reliant on using these spells to actually check every brush. And so as everybody backs away right before the Dragon to spend some of their gold, this is going to be very telling for whether or not Team Liquid can continue to snowball their lead.
It's also not only difficult for Team Liquid to get in, but it's a deterrent for APA and Mir to ever move to the bottom side of the map, because you already saw that turret is about to fall, and Wixie and Joey are trying to hold on to it as long as possible, but APA cannot safely walk through that river even if he wants to go for that Weaver's Wall play, because you might be walking into a Sejuani, you might be walking into an Ash Arrow from downtown, and just when we say it, it's not from Fog of War, but it's from in the mid lane point blank, and that's gets APA's flash out. Nature's Wrath from Mir catches out Chad, still has flash to play with, but he's getting silenced by Kim Down, flashing away in the nick of time potentially. The slow, he's out of there, but it's still not enough damage from Arrow on the backside, and it's Balulu that is picking up the pieces of picking up another flash forward. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble, Deadly Flourish, the damage from ADD with the parlay, and timing on the stasis as he lives the dive.
IMT outplaying Team Liquid on every phase of the fight, Mark. They get 3 kills right before the Dragon. They can come back and just do the same thing again. They get to spend so much money. Yeah, Bradley will pick up this turret on the bottom side of the map. But that is a huge win coming out from IMTC right when we said that they were going to have a little bit of difficulties. It looks like the addition of the new member, I don't want to say it just yet, but it looks like they are solving so many of the problems.
We talked about it before, right? The long-range engage tools, so many pick utility spells that you have on your side as Immortal Challengers, that despite the bot lane advantage that was created for Arrow, you've got Ash Arrow, you got Glacial Prison, you've got Chain of Corruptions, and then Balulu, it just makes it that much easier to follow up with the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, even if you're not going through a long-range terrain.
Yeah. I mean, I respect the idea coming out from Arrow, right? But you're doing it right in the face of Balulu. No. And crazy thing here, right? Like, APA should have felt good about that, but the stopwatch keeps them alive, and now we're fighting over the next objective. They get it.
And
they don't get it.
Cheeky steal. Now, can he get into it? Yes, he should be able to walk up. He's tight, he's beefy. Nice barrel combo. Kim Dong locks out Chad. They get the trade kill back, but Immortals get to walk away knowing that the Rift Herald was theirs. Bradley might be in a world of hurt, forced to flash away. 80-Day still walking forward. Nicely done from Wixie. Sleepy Trouble Bubble setting up that kill on the APA, followed up with a piercing arrow. And Immortals suddenly in this mid game. You said it before, Josh. We had questions about if they don't get that early game advantage, can they deliver? And the answer so far is yes.
And unfortunately, looking at Team Liquid right now, APA having a bit of a rough game, not able to dodge out for everything, and Bradley gets caught.
Does he have one more Paddle Star in time? Oh my god, yes he does! Balulu! This guy is having a monster debut right now.
16 stacks on the mid-J's already. I mean, it's such a cheap item. You got so many tools, and look at this. Immortals haven't even bothered playing for the dragon yet. They're just playing for kills all over the map, and now Wixie and Joey are going to be picking up the mid-lane turret as well, and we have an unlikely hero coming up for Team Liquid. It is Arrow playing against his old organization yet again. Already 3 kills coming through, and this Jhin, if it gets in later on in the game, will absolutely one-shot some of these players. But will it matter? He doesn't have a front line that can engage for him. He doesn't have a front line that will be able to stand up against all of this damage, because it's so difficult for Team Liquid to get in and stay in. Team Liquid feels like they might be in a situation where Immortals are turning it around. It's a reverse slam of the week.
Team Liquid's supposed front line and Mir and Kim down are not quite at the tanky levels yet to withstand Piercing Arrow, Glacial Prison, Enchanted Crystal Arrow, Sleepy Trouble Bubble. There's just too much damage coming out of nowhere from Immortals challenges right now. And I think Team Liquid were just really caught off guard by this snowball that has been leveraged into them. And now they have to find a way to slow down the game, but it's so damn hard. We've got so many tools from Immortals challengers.
Look at that. Just gone.
Sorry,
Arrow?
That's tough. Okay, nice cleanse. Gale Force away. Nature's Wrath comes out as disengaged, but the play is already over for Team Liquid as Immortals starting to clear this wave down, getting ready for the next one to come in and make the siege happen.
There's just so much crowd control coming out from IMT. It's so difficult to dodge everything, especially when your flash is down. Bradley just getting caught out a little bit. I mean, they did well up against ADD in isolation, but now it doesn't matter because, again, look at Balulu, 20 stacks on the Medjais. They are lining up, and this is IMT's comfort zone where they just walk up and siege.
That hit Arrow, I think that might have been close to a kill. He knows that Chad doesn't have Glacial Prison, so we can open up with the Curtain Call, looking just for extra damage on the backside. One more shot, blocked beautifully by Chad, as Immortals will walk out safely. This is, to quote our apartment roommate, Josh, this is tough for Team Liquid right now.
I don't really know what Team Liquid can really try and do. Bradley didn't really become a credible split push threat at this point, and it's crazy because the amount of vision control that Immortals have means that even if oh no. You have to flash it. You don't know who's there. ADD coming through. Man, Ian feels bad coming in for APA. This is not a yip kind of game.
This is, damn, I thought I had something. I don't really have any comedical to retort off, so we're just gonna scratch that one off. Then it didn't happen. Back to our usual programming of being very professional and polished on the broadcast here for Challengers League. Team Liquid, they are kind of right now.
Yeah. I'm trying to invent ways for them to kind of come in, and it mostly relies on pretty big mistakes coming out from IMT because their game plan is so straightforward. Now that you have the lead, now that you have the ability to control the side waves as well, you line up around an objective, you line up in a single lane, and you throw spells at the other team. And yeah, Blitzcrank's a pretty good ARAM champion, but that's one good ARAM champion against 5? That does not really allow you to play any kind of game plan, and normally we make fun of it in ARAM, but I actually think it's really good for Immortals if they were to just go for it.
And just so many long-range tools. Dude, you can see the fear in APA's movements. Just, I need to check to make sure there's no one in this bush. Just have to check with every skill shot that you have available in your arsenal. Immortals getting ready to lay down vision control, already setting up beautifully around this barren pit.
Good. It's good coming out from Team Liquid at least. They are sending Talia down towards the bottom side. We saw an arrow from Joey fly wide. And so they are at least abusing the fact that Immortals is moving as a goon squad and trying to find opportunities to feed minions to the turret gods and make sure that, you know, Immortals isn't getting dackled, but the gold lead is just not what matters for a while. Team Liquid don't really have the way back in until Arrow is in a spot where he can, like, auto-attack people, and now they're looking for Joey.
You know, an Enchanted Christopher Arrow is down. Joey pays back the flash as that arrow that we thought went wide. I think Arrow's flash timer being down means that they were fishing for him earlier on. And Immortals, I mean, if they lose the flash off of their support, that's okay. I mean, Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to come back. It just came back up. I mean, This
So low
ultimate spell
cooldown.
is so ridiculous.
So silly. Well, we will see. We will kind of come back. We'll be looking at Arrow when they hit 3-4 items. We will kind of check back in on Team Liquid's chances because it feels a little doomed until then. But I kind of want to look at the players who have been doing particularly well this game. And number one, gotta talk more about Balulu, man. This is a guy that was not playing the first week because Ablaze Olive had to come in due to visa troubles. And the fact that they've been playing in the Turkish League for a while and also having some time to play in EU on squads like Songal Esports and Diabolus Esports means that it's a player who actually has a lot more experience than people might be expecting due to the fact that this guy has had a long history in the competitive scene, having played since 2016. He even went to Worlds in 2021.
Yeah. And for Immortals, you know, every team has only so many import slots. Good stuff from Wixie, getting the flash out of Mirror. Whenever you're going to use an import slot for a Challengers League team, you want to make sure that you feel like you're using it wisely. It's well spent.
Yeah.
So far, I mean, this is...
This is a
Considering
trade.
Immortals... Yeah, this is a damn good investment so far and a damn good showing on his first week.
Okay, Bradley?
Gonna get the 1v1 down. Oh, wait! Team Liquid force Immortals Challengers off the dragon, able to smite it away. But Chad goes in, thanks to Kim down, pulling him on the hook. Balulu on the flank side.
they're all-
APA is trying to keep him busy. Baron Exhaust traded on the summoner spells. Arrow still on the run. Does not have flash thanks to the enchanted crystal arrow attempt before. APA running out of mana, has nowhere else to run. Arrow has to step forward. There's no way out except forward through Immortals Challengers. But Chad comes in. The flash fall up. The nice cleanse from Arrow. But ADD with the parlance, not enough damage. Arrow gets to walk away. But how long can he run for before Immortals Challengers eventually catch up to him? Enchanted Crystal Arrow just might come up. Oh, it's the TP to cut him off. Balulu wants to add up to the BM book, and he gets the shutdown on top of it.
This is what we should be expecting from a player who has been to Worlds multiple times with BYG, with Supermassive, absolutely taking control of this game. They are just going for everything. 25 stacks on Magi's, 3 items already, 706, completely deathless in this game. It is Balulin time right here in North America, and Team Liquid not going to be able to find any recourse in this one. I'm ready to kind of chalk this one up.
And people might find that sentiment strange, considering it's only 4,000 gold ahead for Immortals. But you just look at the tools that Immortals had, and we've said this time and time again throughout this entire game. I mean, how do you stop 1, 2, 3, 4 pick tools from Immortals long range?
Yeah. I mean, if they didn't have that couple of kills in the mid game where Wixie flashed forward and then ended up picking up APA, like, Immortals do not have this lead to play with, and when you have a poke team that is ahead, it's impossible to deal with, right? But that's one of the big things coming out from Immortals, is that they didn't stop making things happen. That's something that we can kind of historically attribute to Chad. He would always try and make things happen, even when they weren't necessarily supposed to. And now, I mean, they're able to get the Baron with no contest at all, and Arrow's just trying to stop some backs.
Bradley's already doing work on the bottom side of the map. The rest of Team Liquid working their way through mid lane. So even though there's no way they could contest the Baron, as you called it, just trying to see if they can buy time to get more chip damage into the turrets, because that is really their only play. They do not win up these straight 5-on-5 team fights right now.
So now we kind of have to think about, what do you do as ADB just walks away from the Weaver's Wall? What do you do in game 2? Because this looks like a draft where Team Liquid got basically everything they could have asked for, right? You got Bradley on the Jag, so that he got a pentakill on last week and has had some good success thus far. You gave Mir the early Maokai, which is something that he also had a ton of success on last week. APA is on one of his classic champions. Arrow's on something he's good at. The only person that you aren't saying is potentially the most comfortable is Kim Down, who hasn't played a ton of Blitzcrank over the course of his career, but it's not like the champion is super difficult. I think this is a situation where you have to completely re-evaluate what IMT as a team is going to be looking like for the year.
Especially with Balulu making his debut on a signature comfort pick. I mean, this is so damn dominant, and this is exactly the confidence that you want to see from someone that you are importing for the Challengers League. An arrow from Joey, fishes, no dice on APA. Just staving off this empowered minion wave so far. Immortals Challengers, I mean, they have full access to this jungle. They have full control. So damn scary for Team Liquid to face check anywhere.
Yeah. Bradley picks up the blue buff. Gonna try and do something, right? But this is one of the things that's tough about creating split push pressure is the more successful you are early, the harder it is to do late because you have nothing left to knock down. Now Blue comes over to the side and look at that, that's Demir!
That's Demir too, and I'm pretty sure he has his Mythic online. Baloo forced to flash, but it's the damage ADD! Gale Force takes down the tree!
That's crazy, right? That's not even like a full setup coming out from Immortals. That's just Balulu coming off on the side, doing a ton of damage, and ADD able to clean it up. And now, with Mir gone, that's your primary disengage tool. That's your way to stop a lot of these fights coming through, and the poke has not stopped, and Bradley has to stop on the top side because ADD and Balulu have time to back.
Now, credit to Team Liquid, they are slowing down the pace for Immortals. It's still a very difficult game for them to play out, but they are doing their damnedest to give Bradley windows where they see all 5 members of Immortals on the cross map. Tell Bradley, hey, this is your window. Get as much turret damage as much as you can. They haven't been able to break down the inhibitors, but if there's a chance for Immortals to get stalled by the rest of Team Liquid without dying in an engage or a skirmish, then maybe Bradley finds that chance to unlock the gates in Immortal space.
Maybe. He's down 2 levels, and a lot of gold against ADD at this point, right? ADD's on 4 items, where Bradley is still working on his 3rd. So, yeah, you know, there's outside chances. It's not over until it's over officially, but it's looking pretty darn grim at this point. So, I mean, we've definitely serviced Balulu for a little while. I also want to look at Wixie, who's another player who I was a little bit critical of the flash earlier, and now I'm not going to throw out the ultimate. I was a little bit critical of the flash, but looking back at it, it was the exact thing that I think Immortals needed. For one, it was a morale victory in order to say, hey, no, we are not out of this game. We can still make plays. And 2, it was never punished. And so Wixie gets away with it. And even though he hasn't been nearly as exciting to watch as the way that Balulu has played, he's done everything right so far. He's just been walking around these fights, throwing out a lot of these arrows, and making sure that he can actually hit priority targets all the time.
It's definitely a selfless ego play from the side of Wixie, where he's saying, you know what? I'm willing to give my life to make this pick happen, because Balulu right now has a small advantage. We need to balloon it even further. And, I mean, now look where Balulu is ending up. 25 stacks on the Medjais. This guy can literally one-shot anyone from the side of Team Liquid, even close to Mir, as we already saw, with both of his items online.
Yeah. And look at this. Like, how do you even walk over towards the Baron side of the map at this point, right? You have no vision control anywhere. You have no real way to go forward, and now they're going for a double split push as Arrow loses.
ADD wants to walk forward. Arrow's forced to use the cleanse and Gale Force away because he knows that an angry pirate was running for his ass. And my goodness, Immortals Challengers just barreling down turrets one by one. It's not as fast as maybe people would expect at this rate, but Team Liquid are slowly losing structures. But on the flip side, Bradley is able to once again trade another tower for a tower.
Yeah. You know what gets better and better the longer the game goes on, Mark? Range. Also wine. But the fact that you have so much range on IMT means that even though there are good scaling tools coming out from Team Liquid in the Jax and the Jhin, how do they hit? The answer is Yeah. I mean, this game has kind of been over for a while, right? You know, we've kind of talked about it. We've set this one up. I kind of want to look at what we should be looking at for Game 2, because Team Liquid Challengers will have side selection. Ooh, Bradley!
Watch out for the arrow. Oh, the stun. He sets up the counter-strike, but is going to be in time. Yes, it is. Perfectly on the GA respawn. Bradley, oh, not close enough. It is ADD who stands tall as the pirate.
That was big. The fact that the counter-strike came out early before ADD used it at all. Now APA trying to avenge his top laner.
All right, APA doesn't have enough damage. Oh, ADD with the oranges, but APA has the damage.
Yeah, but look at this. At the same time, on the other side of the map, Team Liquid going to be losing the Baron. APA going to back. He's got the teleport back up. Can they do anything? Balulu is playing Gatekeeper.
Deadly Flourish does not find its mark. Balulu is able to speed on away. He has Heal and Ghost to play with. Ghost looks for Arrow. Forces him to stop the curtain call. 5,000 on the Baron.
Yes.
Chad opens up with Glacial Prison.
No
gets
way.
blown up. Oh, wait a minute. Team Liquid have taken out the main front line for Immortals, so there's no one that can block for Team Liquid's own skill shot and long-range damage. Balulu just is fishing on the side. Nice sidestep
So
from
scary.
APA. Dodges on the Sleepy Trouble bubble. Now teleport is coming in for Bradley. They
their
want to
moment.
take this moment. They're down 6,000 gold.
They
but
have
2
to.
members are gone from Immortals Challengers, so this is your only opportunity.
This is your only
you
chance.
have to commit. 7,000 on the Baron. 5,000
Oh,
on
no.
the Baron. Sleepy Trouble bubble goes on to Bradley. If they can't find the damage, 2,000. They back off, but they
Gotta
don't
commit.
lose aggro. 2,000. You still have smoke.
Gotta commit.
You have to commit. 1,200. Just get it 1,200. They get it down. No steal attempt from Wixie is there. And
ADD.
everyone just has to bail. ADD. Teleport with the barrels. Looking for APA, forcing the flash, but it's Wixie from downtown. Finds the arrow. And
Okay.
Team Liquid have to scramble. They got the Baron, but you now have to run.
Okay. I mean, Team Liquid, they had to commit there. It was their only chance to try and do something. The engage tools were all gone. It was your 4v3 on the map. They get the Baron, but at what cost? Their base is now indefensible as IMT just walks up, picks up the turret, picks up the inhibitor, and they can back away as well. They can play for the end of the game because APA is still dead for nearly 30 seconds.
Just as Team Liquid had a window to take the Baron, Immortals are now gifted a window to end the game. They have it in their sights. 5-on-3. Balulu has fishing for more spells. Wixie finds 1 arrow. Just 1 more. A turret falls. Mirrors back up. Fires out the Nature's Wrath. There's not a minion wave available, but maybe Immortals can tank it on this tower. The next wave. Mirrors buying enough time for APA. Coming up in 1 second. Minion wave is pouring in. APA is up. Attempting to clear the wave. Balulu, Wixie just have to take them out and just look for the Nexus turret. Wixie's firing every single arrow. Both Nexus turrets are gone. Mir gives his life for the cause. Balulu still doesn't go down. Will end alongside Wixie with a perfect game and the first victory for Immortals Challengers.
Dude, we thought Jimenez had a strong start to his first game. The way that Balulu comes out of it, 8-0-13. This guy was absolutely crazy on the board the entire time. We've got an incredible crop of players coming in right now, and these imports are absolutely tearing up some of the local talent. We'll see if APA has any response to that, because he was on one of his best champions. Yes, it was into a hard matchup, but I mean, this is a new look to Immortals that we have never seen.
Damn right it is, and it's a hell of a way to bounce back to picking up Immortals Challengers' first official win in the Challengers League. When we come back, Deathstrux has got us on deck with our mid-game segment.